So if you're getting a set of cables from me, this is the setup or condition you'll get at me. Alright, and then take your cables, which you can bend to help shape. They're very flexible. And just feed them in so that you can grab them and pull them through. And this is the fun part. If you're lucky like I was, you'll be able to grab one or both right off the bat. Because that never happens. Alright. So we got one, which this doesn't have the extension, which means it's the right one for the CB. Alright, a pair of long nose pliers. Made relatively short work of that. For reference, these are my solid carbon fiber shifter bushings. They're made out of carbon fiber PET G. Just nice solid replacements. They go in. Okay, on the inside of the car, you will have to loosen this all the way so that you can bring it through, and then just put it down and retighten it. So at this point, you could install it onto the shifter, but I would just wait a minute because we need to set it on the transmission side first. Okay, now depending on who you are and when you got it, you may have gotten a bag like this tied to your cables, or you got all these fittings zip tied in place in the cables with a bag of cotter pins. But this is how we install them. So you want to get them installed on the transmission first, and the way I have them set up is this is neutral and neutral. And so the range of motion is symmetrical and is past what you need. Now you're going to want to check a few things before you fully tighten these down. And what that is so we're here neutral, make sure that at full extension, that distance is covered. At full compression, that distance is covered. And that you're about centered. If you're all the way out, that you can extend past it. And when you're all the way in, that you can also extend past it. What I've also done is adjusted these bulkheads further in so that I could put in as much thread on these as possible. So for example, if I were to thread this further outward, I would have to also thread this outward to make up the difference so it stays centered. For this one, you'll have a washer and a boot. And then you'll put the cotter pin over that. And then when you go to install these guys, notice there's these little pads back here. These are like little wear pads that keep good resistance so it's solid. Just push that on and then put the cotter pin wherever is comfortable for you to reach. Alright, and then if these aren't already tight, make sure those are tight. And now you're good to go on this side. So typically you want the shifter sitting straight up and down, and so what we see here is with the way that it's currently set up, it's not straight up and down, and that's because the bulkhead's not adjusted. So what you want to do is once they're installed on your car and you've got that end set up properly, is you can then come in here, and if you need to move this forward or back, this will likely be mostly bottomed out, and so what you'll actually want to do is loosen the bulkhead and just move that back. And so then you can move that back a little bit and retighten everything. And it's the same over here. If you want it to move back or forward, if you have the room, it's better to do it here. But these, again, have plenty of thread. I believe there's 18 threads, which comes out to 18 millimeters of threads. And so there you go. For the CB7, you'll have this adapter with the stock shifter. Those go in there. You'll have those with some washers. And once everything is tightened up, and you can align if you want the shifter to be left or right by how far you space these, and then how far forward or back you want the shifter by how far you space this. So this is where I ended up. It's basically where the cables were set up from the jig. But it really changes the way the factory shifter feels quite a bit. As you can see, the slop is part of it's in the shifter because I haven't rebuilt this one yet. So there's that without the cable moving. And then again, that's just in the transmission. So really nice improvement to an OEM shifter with these cables. I didn't notice till afterwards when I was editing, but also make sure that these sleeves are properly over the ends. So you might have to mess with it a little bit, but you need to spin these so that they completely cover and seal. Make sure these are on, and then you're good to go.